で、外に出てきたわけだけど、ここでどうするの?
We were standing on a mountain path. If you look to the side, there was a trail leading up to the side of the mountain to the shrine. A trail leading up to the side of the mountain to the shrine. Right. Let's take a walk.
神社に用事があるの?
No, I'm more so interested in the path going to the shrine. Going to the shrine.
え? 階段って、まさか!
She must have figured out what I was trying to do. Nagiko's eyes widened in surprise. I'm pretty sure this trail has around 450 steps in total. We're going to run up the mountain.
本気で言ってんの?
I think what you're lacking right now is self-confidence. Right, yeah, that's... And when, pray tell... And when did she show she was lacking self-confidence? Before the photo shoot? If anything, the scene before it was the complete opposite. She was overflowing with self-confidence, if you ask me. I hate where this is going. Nagiko gasped at my comment.
自信
Yes, self-confidence.
そんなのどこを探したってないわ。自信なくしちゃった。
Right. Yeah. It's definitely not because of the fact that there is such an easy solution to all of this. Alright? It is not a lack of self-fucking confidence that she has. It's the fact that she has too much on her plate. Alright? First, she devoted her life to Aikido. She devoted her everything to Aikido. And then she got interested in surfing. You know, that's fine. It was only a hobby. But then you kept getting more and more into surfing. And you even participated in a tournament about surfing. So now that Aikido stuff is getting pushed further to the side. Meanwhile, your surfing stuff is keep getting piled more and more onto that plate. You know? Until you were given the offer to go pro, and you've got all those videos online to make you more popular. You're more well known for surfing, right? That Aikido stuff is tilting. It's almost off the edge of the plate. But the problem is that you can't fully push it off because because that was your original goal, to succeed your dad in taking over the Aikido dojo. Alright? There is a very simple solution to this. And it's talking to your fucking dad about it. Because there has been no indication that she has mentioned any of this to anyone other than her friends. And when I say it's simple, I'm talking to the writers in this. Alright? They're going about it in such a convoluted fucking way when you can just simply make the conflict that Nagiko is conflicted over what she wants, quote unquote, because she only wanted to become a professional after she was given the offer, right? That was never a goal for her until she was given the chance, right? So quote unquote what she wants, or or what her dad wants, right? Her dad wants her to become the heir to the Aikido dojo, to own the Aikido dojo, right? This is the worst route. This is worse than Hibiki's. Because every time I wanted something and it always made sense. Every time I wanted something in Nagiko's route, I never fucking got it. Right? The only thing you can get in this route is the confession. And who would have guessed that's the one thing you could guess is gonna happen, because that's the point of this fucking game. That's the point of every round of this game.
怖いのよ。失敗するのが怖い。
I wanted this route to be about Aikido, and it's about surfing. Okay, I can deal with that as long as she keeps having Aikido stuff. And she did. She had those moments, like with Riri in her bed. Nagiko had those moments where she's thinking about you while she's doing Aikido, and then her dad is introduced into her dad is brought into the route, right? So now he's been introduced, right? He's shown off a few times before the confession, and then after the confession, he fucks off. He doesn't exist. They completely throw away everything to do with Aikido. You doesn't even go to the fucking dojo a single time. It's all about surfing now. Oh, and now there's a tournament. Oh, great! Now there's a tournament. That means you know that Nagiko's going to get more involved in surfing. I was like, okay, well maybe her dad isn't going to be too into that. No, he doesn't. Does he know? We don't know. We don't have any fucking information on him anymore. We don't know anything about him. Right? He doesn't exist anymore. So then, okay, she fails the tournament because she wiped out. Okay, whatever, and she got a special award. They fucked for the first time, and that's great. Happy days. I'm gonna guess that they would have done that. And then, now that she's gotten viral on the internet because someone recorded her surfing and someone recorded her skating. What a convoluted story. But because of her virality, she's getting why am I blanking on the word? She's being introduced, I guess, to the publisher of her favorite surfing magazine. Okay, great. Now she's getting the opportunity to go pro. Oh, okay. So there's going to be an interesting dynamic between her want to becoming pro and her want to succeed her dad in the Aikido dojo, right? No, it's all about the surfing part, right? It's all about how now that she's doing this photo shoot stuff, she keeps failing to do simple tricks while she's surfing, right? Okay, great. No, that's fine, right? We can solve this problem by thinking back on what the fuck was going on before she became pro. Oh, you're saying that her dad you're saying that her dad had a problem with her surfing? Oh, really? Who would have guessed? He wanted her to do more Aikido, and now she's doing surfing as a hobby, and now she wants to go pro? So there's a conflicting there's a conflict between these two professions. Now it's Nagiko wants to become a professional, right? She's pushed her goal of wanting to be the Aikido dojo master or whatever to the side. So okay, now you're telling me that does Nagiko's dad still not know any of this? Nagiko hasn't told her dad about any of this? I feel like this is an important fucking piece of information that you should be telling your dad about how you want to go pro in surfing. But no, we don't see a scene of her talking to him about fucking anything. Because of course we don't. Why would we? It makes too much sense. And now, it's still not about her dad. It's still not about Aikido. It's all about her self-confidence. She has a problem with self-confidence now, apparently.
海に出ると失敗のイメージで頭の中がいっぱいになって、でも頑張らなくちゃって考えて、期待に応えるために動かなくちゃって考えて、でもそのせいで余計にぐちゃぐちゃになっちゃって。
Now it clicked. And that was why you weren't able to go out into the water today. She sounded completely crushed by the pressure. And yeah, I understood how this put her between a rock and a hard place. The rock is her wanting to become a pro, and the hard place is her wanting to become the dojo master. It's not like I'm an expert on any of this either. I can't say for sure whether or not this is correct. I can say this much though. If you continue worrying about the what-ifs, then you'll never succeed.
それは
Which brings me to my next point. There are 450 steps that lead to the shrine. If you can run all the way up them in a single burst, won't that make you feel like you can accomplish anything? If the problem with Nagiko was the fact that she didn't feel like she could accomplish anything, then what was the point of the fucking scene before she decided she wanted to become pro, when she pulled off every fucking trick in front of all of those people? Alright? What was the point of that entire scene if it wasn't to show that she felt like she could accomplish anything, that she felt like she had confidence? She went up to Igarashi bursting with confidence over how, sure, I'll go professional, and then sure, I'll do this photo shoot, and then only then did she feel a little nervous. I already criticized that part, right? Why was she so nervous about one photo, one picture being taken just because it's Igarashi over the dozens of people that guaranteed also took videos of her just because they're Humega LOL surfers or something?
そりゃそうでしょうね。450段を駆け上るなんて発想、本来なら神経を疑うもの。
Yeah, I'm sure it does. It was certainly an unreasonable request, but that's exactly why it was worth doing.
でも、それができたってさ、何が変わるの？何も変わらないかもしれないじゃない。
Yeah, it is. I was repeating myself at this point, but I was no expert. There was no telling if this was actually going to work. But hey, I think we'll see when the time comes. Like I said before, we can be the one to decide what to do in the end.
それ、なんかずるくない？ユウは私だけに走らせて、高みの見物してるってわけ？
Had she gotten back into her stride a little? I spotted a tinge of hope in her sullen demeanor. Why don't we make it a race? If I win, you continue surfing. If you win, you can do whatever you want. What do you say?
何よそれ。その条件って私の得になってないじゃない。
That's not true. Rather than putting your fate into the hands of the hands of the universe, I want you to rely on me and pour everything you've got into this. To be honest, I was trying to provoke her.
ちょっと待って、それって私が負ける前提？
Well, I guess that's how it would work. I'm not going to back down so easily. My phrasing was deliberately cold to her. Knowing Nagiko, if this was the same Nagiko I knew to be, then she would face me head on. In fact, she would happily try to take me down. What do you want to do, Nagiko?
そうね。
She eyed the stairs, seemingly deep in thought. Being the time of day that it was, the pathway was dim and shrouded in darkness.
やってやろうじゃない。この階段を登った先で何が見えるかはわからないけど、ユウを信じて駆け抜けるわ。
There was an undeniable fire in her eyes, and I was relieved to see that Nagiko, the Nagiko I knew and loved behind that fearless smile.
よし。じゃあ、よーい。
Hey, that was quick. She immediately gained speed and raced up the path. I chased after her in a fluster.
やば、これきつ。
Oh, this is brutal on my legs. It took no time at all for my legs to feel heavy once I began my ascent. My breathing had grown ragged, and my entire body felt like lead. Damn it, I'm not finished yet. I shouted from the pit of my belly to try and pep myself up as much as possible. That was all it took to make this a little easier. I felt like I progressed just a little further forward. Oh.
きつすぎるでしょ、これ。
I continued to push my legs upward out of sheer desperation. The muscles in my legs were throbbing, and I couldn't help but gasp for air. Where? Way there.
もうダメ。
Ow.
死んじゃうから。
I've got more where this came from. I can keep going.
待ちなさいよ、
The pathway never seemed to end no matter how far we made it up the hill. My legs were heavy. This was definitely a case of some insane lactic acid buildup. Still, my legs refused to stop. Nagiko remained determined to keep going and trailed close behind.
もうダメ。もういい。走るのもサーフィンもやめる。絶対にやめてやるんだから。
Only if you beat me. You're going to be addicted to surfing for the rest of your life.
うるさい。私よりサーフィン下手なくせに。寝言は寝てから言いなさいよ。
We were clearly suffering from a lack of oxygen to our brains. Maybe that was why we felt a sudden rush of euphoria the further up we went. We let the momentum carry us, and just kept on shouting. If I go to sleep now, I'll die. This is going to kill me.
死ぬな、バカ。
I'm not going to die, dummy. Like hell, I'll die before I make you... You know, this should be a much better scene if you switch surfing with Aikido. You know, the sport she was known for throughout the entire game. Before her route. Yeah. But no, it's about surfing. The sport that she started liking in this route specifically, but we have to believe that she was already into surfing before this, because there was no indication that she liked surfing before we started her route. Like hell, I'll die before I make you my bride.
じゃあ、私が勝ったらお嫁さんにして。
That's got nothing to do with winning or losing. I had no idea what I was saying at this point. This was so brutal, I held back the urge to hurl. There was no way I could stop now, especially when I had come this far. Nagiko, I love you. No, I'm good.
私より前に進んで。この負けない。私の方が好き。大好き。
The two of us poured our hearts out as we scaled the mountainside. This was rough. It felt like we were suffocating. Brutal. but we were determined to not be left behind by the person we loved most as we ran alongside one another. We cleared our minds of outside thoughts and propelled our bodies forward. Then suddenly, the pathway opened up. We had reached the shrine grounds, yet neither of us stopped running. I can't do it anymore. I'm gonna die. This is brutal.
私も限界。ゴールはどこ？
Past here. At the top of those stairs. We rushed toward the stairway that led to the viewing platform. I really was at my limit now.
私たち何やってんだろうね。
What? Do you mean what? At the very least, I think we're enjoying our youths. I dashed up the pathway while shouting my pointless commentary. Well, this wasn't youth. If this wasn't youth, then what was?
してるしてる。私たち最高に青春してるかも。何の根拠もないんだけどさ、今なら私何でもできる気がする。
I see. I'm glad to hear that. I'm gonna win. I'm definitely gonna win.
勝つのは私が勝つに決まってるでしょ。
Anita is doing a gravelly voice. I don't know. We shouted in unison as we made our way to the top of the stairs. Why did we suddenly burst into a sprint? At what end were we running? What did we want to win for? At this point, I'd forgotten all of that. The sound of Nagiko's ragged breathing and vigorous footsteps motivated me to keep pushing forward. The end came abruptly. We reached the top at nearly the same time and immediately flopped to the ground. None of the sounds of heavy breathing resonated into the stillness of the night. I gazed up at the sky, perfectly lit with stars. Only the moon, that was casting a peaceful light, was watching over us.
不思議な気分よね。私たちがこんな風に青春してるなんてさ。
Yeah, it does. This would have been utterly inconceivable during summer vacation, before summer vacation started.
ゆう。キスしちゃった。青春もそうだけど、こんな最高な彼氏が隣にいるし、私幸せよ。
Nagiko. Damn, I was blushing. Embarrassment welled up inside me when she smiled in my direction from point-blank range while we were sprawled out along the ground. My legs are shaking. My breathing eventually evened out, and I sat upright. Why are you holding out your hand?
手を借りなくても自分で立ち上がれるんだからね。
Okay, I got you. Both of our legs were trembling. I helped Nagiko up, and we helped keep the other standing. We finally got a good look at our surroundings. It's pretty.
そうね。
You could see where everyone lived based on the number of city lights. And there was a vast ocean that stretched behind it, for as far as the eye could see. Nagiko took a sweeping view of it all, and let out a breath of astonishment.
街明かりが綺麗ね。それに、簡単に一望できるくらい小さな街。本当に私、井の中の蛙だったんだ。
Isn't it the same for any famous athlete when they first start out? They all had to start from somewhere, and took steps to improve upon themselves. Well, yeah, but most athletes dedicate their lives to one sport. Nagiko shifted from doing Aikido to surfing, and she only saw it as a hobby until she was told she can be until she was offered a chance to become professional. It's just, I believe it's up to each person whether they start in the puddle or make it out into the great big ocean. When they find their destination, they may be able to be a part of that greater ocean. It was like that for all professional athletes. Even if they were a top domestic competitor, they might be insignificant on a global scale.
そうかもしれないわ。挑戦なくして成果なし。誰かがそんなこと言ってたわよね。誰だったか覚えてないけど。誰だったっけ？
I'm not familiar with stuff like that.
学年1位でもわからないことあるんだ。
There was no point committing something to memory if it wasn't going to be on a test. I prioritize efficiency above all else. It was incredibly difficult to maintain my scholarship status as it was.
言うらしいわね。でも、誰が言ったかなんてどうでもいいか。その言葉の意味さえ分かってれば。
Well, setting all that aside, so I won the match.
はあ？どこ見てたの？私の勝ちでしょ。
No, you didn't. My tiptoes touched the top step first.
酸欠になって意識が朦朧としてたんじゃない？そうじゃなくても、ユウは先輩に譲るってことを覚えた方がいいわ。
It didn't look like Nagiko had any intention of backing down. Fine, I get it. We'll call this your win. See, this would be a cute scene if I wasn't incredibly pissed off. You know? So, what will you do? What do you want to do?
そうね。
Nagiko grew quiet, then closed her eyes and placed a hand to her chest. She didn't remain silent for long, though.
サーフィン続ける。自分の限界を見極めてやるわ。
Yeah, that's how it should be. Knowing the Nagiko I love, I was sure you'd say that. Yes, the outcome of our match itself hadn't mattered. I believe that Nagiko would come to that conclusion as well.
大好きって、もう、からかわないでよ。
No, I'm extremely serious. I was yelling it like crazy on our way up here earlier.
思い出した。私も、めちゃくちゃ恥ずかしいこと言った気がする。
We were both fairly oxygen deprived at the time. I recalled saying some very embarrassing things myself.
でも、私も、ユウのこと大好き。最高の彼氏だと思ってる。
That's an honor.
それで、その最高の彼氏にお願いがあるんだけど。
What is it? What could this serious turn What could this serious turn be about? I tilted my head and Nagiko leaned far forward.
私、今すぐにサーフィンしたい。
Huh? Hold on a second. Do you realize what time it is? It was practically pitch black outside. Going into the ocean right now would be suicidal.
でも待ちきれないの。今すぐすっごくしたいの。
I get it, I get it. Come on, don't cling to me like that. Hearing her beg with her arms around me made me instantly surrender. You really shouldn't get in the water at night, though. Let's wait until the morning.
仕方ないか。それじゃあ朝一で海だからね。約束よ、ユウ。
We would take a short break until then. I took in the view from the observation deck while Nagiko and I cuddled up together. This was the world we had spent our entire lives in. And I gazed out to the vast space that extended beyond it. Nagiko and I gazed on as we quietly waited for the night to end.
やっぱ展望台から見る海と近くで見る海は違うわね。ユウ、早く海に出たいわ。
You really need to calm down. It'd be a bad idea now that it's dark out.
わかってるわよ。でも落ち着かないんだから仕方ないじゃない。
That's not good enough. That's not a good enough reason, especially when it's a matter of life and death. There was still some time until sunrise. We had retrieved our things from the locker at the rental shop, so she could have gone out into the water right away, but at the very least, we could wait it out here until sunrise.
わかった。
We decided to loiter around by the edge of the water and gaze out at the ocean.
あんまりいい波が来てなさそうね。日が出る頃には良くなるといいんだけど。
We could just come back later when it's light out. We could just come back later when it's light out.
そんなのダメよ。
Why did he say it in the form of a question?
今すっごくやる気になってるのにこの熱が冷めちゃう。今なら何かつかめそうな気がするんだから。
I don't know, Nagiko. You picked the one sport. You picked the one sport where you have to conform to the weather. Alright? It doesn't matter how fucking amped up you are. If the waves aren't there, then you can't surf. I thought you should have at least... surely you've realized that by now. Will you be okay dressed like that? You won't catch a cold or anything.
大丈夫じゃない。そこまで寒く感じないし。それにこうやって温めてくれる彼氏もいるし。ね。
Nagiko clung onto me tightly to nestle her body closer. She shyly smiled up at me from point-blank range. Yeah, you're right. If that's how you want it, then I'll warm you up as much as possible, as much as you want.
お願いね、ユウ。
Nagiko's lips gingerly brushed against my cheek. She clung to me a bit harder too. I was enveloped by her natural warmth when she leaned against me. We simply gazed as it slowly began to get light out. How do the waves look now?
まだいまいちかな。
I see. The sunrise was near. We waited for daybreak while cuddling together on the beach. Then... there it is. The sun slowly peeked out from beyond the horizon. The sky gradually grew brighter, and the ocean rapidly regained its serene shade of blue. How do the waves look now?
まだダメ。無理をすれば乗れないことはないけど、私はもっといい波を待ちたい。
Got it. No matter how excited she might have been, She seemed to have regained her composure now that she'd given it some time. Well, it's not like she was. It's not like she had a choice. Up until today, Nagiko had experienced one failure after another. She probably hoped better waves would wash away those setbacks. I felt a breeze blow from the ocean, and Nagiko sprung to her feet. Good waves came in.
この感じだと風波じゃなくていいうねりが来そう。まとまりがない波よりも多分今の私には乗りやすいから。
I see.
私、早速行ってくる。ユウはそこで見てて。
She picked up her surfboard. Nagiko rushed toward the ocean.
しゃ、これでどうだ?
Well, I guess it's technically a different CG, but I don't know if using it a third time is going to be good for my thumbnails. Before I knew it, the sun had risen high enough to cast its brilliant rays upon us. Nagiko was illuminated in the morning sun as she sent spray from the ocean flying. What?
よし、この波ならまずは何でもいいからエアを。
Nagiko lost her balance and wiped out. She quickly floated to the surface and shouted in frustration. Nagiko, are you okay?
大丈夫。次こそ華麗なエアを見せてあげるわ。
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I shouted out to Nagiko from the beach. She didn't seem discouraged by her failure in the slightest.
よし、次こそ成功させてみせる。
Once again, she paddled out toward the waves. Nagiko performed another takeoff and seemingly rode out onto the water.
しゃ、
She rode up and down, then gained speed into a cutback. However, she unexpectedly bounced on the wave and lost her balance.
セーフよね。
However, she managed to recover and avoided another wipeout. Of course, that didn't mean her board would stop in place.
次こそ。
Nagiko, go. She had already picked up ample speed. Nagiko waited for the right time, and then leveraged the force of the wave to go airborne.
ここだ。
A straight air, and it was higher than usual. She made a clean landing without losing her composure.
よし。
Nagiko beamed atop her board and clenched her fist. She jumped. It was an ordinary straight air. This was incredible progress when you considered that she had yet to successfully land a jump before today.
やっぱりやればできるじゃない。よーし、じゃんじゃん行くわよ。
The wave she had been riding was gradually losing its momentum. Nagiko repositioned herself to paddle out into the water and search for a better wave. Something was different. Her entire demeanor had changed following another successful takeoff, one that proudly declared, "I won't fail."
次はいよいよエアリバース。行くわよ。
She rode up and down, repeatedly gaining speed. Go, Nagiko. Go for it.
はあ。
She jumped. The height she gained was on par with the straight air from earlier. She even managed to rotate. Nagiko landed in air reverse.
よっしゃー！できたー！
She safely nailed the landing, and then stuck a triumphant pose. Even from the beach, I could see that she was positively beaming. It was amazing. You were perfect.
もう一回言ってくる。ちゃんと見ててね。
Of course, I'll keep watching. Of course, I'll keep watching. She psyched herself up and paddled back out into the open water. I continued to watch Nagiko in earnest as the water shimmered beneath the morning sun. You know, I've been thinking, if the game really wanted to hammer in the fact that Nagiko was losing confidence in her surfing, they could have easily done it subtly when she wiped out the first time during that tournament. Alright? And guess what? They didn't fucking do it. Alright? They suddenly thought up last second that, oh, how are we gonna solve Nagiko's slump? We could do it the easy way, where we could say that her slump is caused over the fact that she's got conflicting interests, or let's go the convoluted way and say that she's losing self-confidence. Forget the fact that she didn't lose any confidence after she wiped out of the tournament, and forget the fact that she was beaming with it when those people were watching her surf. Right? Let's just say that she did it. She's losing confidence after a photo shoot. Cool. Yeah. No. You know, at least with Hibiki's route, I knew it was gonna be iffy to bad. With Nagiko's route, I had faith that it was gonna be good, and my expectations have been severely how do I say this? It hasn't been living up to my expectations at all. In anything. Alright? I wanted more Aikido. We got surfing. I wanted a conflict between Nagiko and her dad. We didn't get it. We didn't get it. I wanted Nagiko to be more conflicted over the fact that she has to choose between a professional surfing life, professional surfing career, or Aikido. No, she went immediately into... She had zero fucking hesitation after she pulled off all those sick tricks in front of all those people. After the tournament, by the way. Because she was given the opportunity to go professional. Aikido has been abandoned in this round. And we only get mentions of it to tease the player. To be like, oh, maybe they haven't forgotten about it. No. They just mention it. They don't do anything other than that. They bring up the name Aikido. And it's more of an insult. You know, it's insulting that they keep doing it. Nagiko jumped and coiled her arms around me. Yeah, I saw. It looks like you're finally out of your slump.
そんなんじゃとどまらないわ。私、以前よりもコツをつかんだ気がするもの。サーファーとして一皮向けて上のステージに進めた感じがする。
Yeah, that's not a slight exaggeration, but congratulations, Nagiko. As far as I could tell, Nagiko didn't seem the least bit anxious now. And it seemed Nagiko had regained the confidence she had lost. Stop saying her name in every line. What? Like 3 in a row? You couldn't have put a she? You only put one after. You put one after the third Nagiko.
これも全部ユウのおかげよ。ありがとう、ユウ。
Nah, you're the one who put in the effort. All I did was cuddle with her on the beach earlier. Oh, and make that absurd suggestion to climb up a mountain. If either of those things helped her, then that's all that mattered.
もう、ユウったら。もっと、俺のおかげだって威張ってもいいのよ。私だって、ユウがいなかったら、多分、こんなに頑張れなかったし。
Nagiko.
ねえ、ユウ、私、すごく体がほてっちゃってる。
Huh? Great, really? She stared up at me with glossy eyes. Her intense gaze made my heart skip a beat. Nagiko, did landing that trick get you in the mood or something?
うん。それもあるかな。でもそれ以上に、ユウのおかげで心臓のドキドキが止まらなくて。ねえ、私の心臓の音、わかる？
Well, no. She may have been basically glued to me, but my hearing wasn't that good. If anything, having her press up to me was making my heart race.
じゃあ、こうすればちゃんと伝わる？
Ah. She grabbed my hand and guided it to her chest. And inside of her wetsuit, Nagiko slipped my hand beneath her bra.
どう？ドキドキ感じる？
Yeah, I do. I could feel Nagiko's soft skin. It was through the ample swell of her breast that I could feel her throbbing heartbeat.
よかった。私のドキドキ、ユウにちゃんと伝わった。
She released my hand. However, in exchange, she clung to me tightly and practically crushed her tits against me.
徹夜でテンション上がってるからかな。サーフィンやって、ドキドキが全然収まらないの。それに、こうしてギュッてして、ユウの匂いを嗅いだからかも。
Nagiko. I gulped at the sight of the enticing glimmer in her eyes. My heart rammed against my ribcage when her soft body leaned against mine.
ユウはどう？
Of course I felt the same way. Between the hugging and touching Nagiko under her wetsuit, summing it up to a rapid heartbeat didn't cover how I felt, especially now that I was pitching a sizable tent. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty excited myself. Was it because she was pressing against me? I'd imagine pulling an all-nighter likely had something to do with it as well. It's crazy how turned on I am.
やっぱりそうなんだ。ここ、大きくなってるからそうだと思った。
Hey, you're doing that here? Nagiko's hand rested on my crotch. My cock responded in kind by hardening under her touch. It didn't take much to turn you on, huh?
仕方ないじゃない。こんなところでとは思うけど。ダメ？ユウはしたくないの？
Isn't it obvious that I do? I hadn't lost all of my faculties just yet. And early morning or not, I was worried about doing that on the beach. There wasn't anyone around though. Nagiko.
ユウ！
I briefly pulled Nagiko away to push her back down onto the sand. Nagiko suddenly leaned all her weight against me, almost as if her internal battery had finally reached zero. Nagiko? Well, are you alright? I asked when I caught her in a fluster.
大丈夫。ユウ、好き。
Yeah, I love you too, Nagiko. It seemed like she was fine. She sounded so frail though, or rather, so transient. It was like she would fade away at any second. Well, it's not one of those visual novels, all right? So you don't have to worry.
ねえ、ヒュー。私、すっごい幸せ。ヒューはどう？
Of course I'm happy too. I had found a woman I loved. And I had found a goal worth achieving, supporting her. My greatest happiness is getting to be with you. That was as far as I got with my sentence before I clamped my mouth shut. Nagiko felt strangely heavy in my arms. Yeah, she was finally tired enough to go to sleep. She seemed awfully quiet too. Nagiko? Oh, no, she's dead. She died of exhaustion, you know, after running up that mountain and then coming down and surfing and then the fucking... You killed her, you... Wait, she's asleep? I'm more surprised that you aren't. I mean, like, sure, she did surfing, so she did more physical stuff than you, but you also had sex, and you also ran up that hill, and you're also less physically active than she is, so I don't know how you were able to stay awake. If anything, you should have passed the fuck out when you were on that mountain. If anything, you should have been too tired to fuck. But no, he was too horny to fall asleep. What the? Don't scare me like that. It was a huge relief to see her peaceful, slumbering face. But man, to fall asleep out of nowhere. Oh, right. We were up all night. It was clear she had overexerted herself. Not only did Nagiko climb a mountain, but she surfed her heart out the moment the sun came up. After all of that, she enthusiastically had sex with me. Unless... He didn't. He got sleep. I'm iffy on what happened. I was a bit, you know, too pissed off to remember exactly what happened. Like, did they go home after coming down the mountain, and she stayed up all night because she was too hyped up to go to sleep because she wanted to surf, and you was the only one who went to sleep? Or did both of them stay up because both of them came down the mountain, and by the time they came down the mountain, the sun was coming up, and she had the urge to go surfing or something like that? After all that, she enthusiastically had sex with me. It wasn't all that surprising that she would doze off at a moment's notice. Yeesh. I guess it's unavoidable. Look, just be glad you didn't also pass out. There was no way I could leave her like this. Not only was there post-sex cleanup to tend to, well, you can just cover it up with sand. She would catch a cold if I left her in this wet swimsuit. Given the time, it wouldn't be strange for someone to walk by either. It wouldn't have been strange for someone to walk by 10 minutes ago, before you had sex. What? I quickly got dressed, stood up, and carried Nagiko on my back. It feels like it's going to be another scorcher out today. I carried Nagiko along with her surfboard. And then I leisurely walked the path back to the house. There was still plenty of time until her appointment with Igarashi. Yeah? I guess. I should let her rest for a bit. Yeah, I love you too, Nagiko. And Nagiko, good work. I knew she wouldn't hear me, but I softly whispered that anyway. As I felt Nagiko's weight on my back, I gradually made my way home under the warm light of summer. And there's the ending. And just like okay. Is it just me or is something weird going on with this outro? I mean, I would let it play out if it was fine, but not if it's like this. So sorry Nagiko. I guess I'll have to make an exception.
はい。はい。その通りです。
You know, I was gonna say, just like every other time when with an outro loud as loud as that I would wait until it ended for me to say my thoughts. But unfortunately, I kind of had to skip over it because of something's going on. Something's wrong there. I don't know why it did that. It was weird. I hope it doesn't do that for Ritsu and Kika's route. I hope it isn't because of my new computer. That wouldn't make sense. I hope it isn't because of... Well, maybe. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, right? I have sort of, maybe, potentially, have doubled my bitrate between endings. Because of my new computer, right? So originally, everything I recorded was at 6K bitrate, and now I record in 12K bitrate. And I mean, like, yeah, because of my new computer, I'm able to do that without anything fucking up, but perhaps it is because I'm recording at 12K bitrate that is happening. Who knows? I'll have to go back over Nagiko's ending, and I'll let you know. I'll put a fucking text thing to verify if I'm right or not. Yeah. Either way, that's not what we're talking about here. The main thing we're talking about, and the thing I complained about a lot, and now here's the thing. There was a hate scene, right? And this is a new recording session. Not after the hate scene. I recorded before the hate scene. Start of the hate scene was the new recording session. Whatever. But it's a new day. I've had some time to think over it. And I still hate it. And I hate everything about it. Because of the main reason. The simple fact. The whatever you'd say. The fact that this game built up that at the start, Nagiko wasn't allowed to do surfing, right? Her dad, it was established that her dad didn't want her surfing because he wanted her to take over the Aikido family business, right? Now, when we found out that her dad wasn't as stingy when it came to Nagiko doing other sports, I was like, oh, cool. He's fine with it staying a hobby, right? Everyone hunky-dory about that. The only thing, right, And I didn't mean to do that. And, you know, kind of the thing that I was expecting in regards to, you know, where this was going, and it did go in that direction, is that, oh, okay, so it's fine if Nagiko surfs as a hobby, but it isn't fine if she does it professionally, or if she wants to pursue it professionally, right? There is a very fucking obvious conflict there, right? If Nagiko is ever trying to pursue surfing professionally, Nagiko's dad will be like, hang on a minute, no, you're the heir of the Aikido family business or whatever, right? Of the Aikido dojo. And it's like, okay, clearly that was set up at the start. So then obviously when she was given that eventually given that opportunity to go professional, I'm like, oh, great. The payoff, right? The payoff that you finally get of the event, the expected conflict between Nagiko and her dad, right? Because now that she wants to pursue surfing professionally, now Gonzo will, Nagiko's dad will be like, no, you can't do that, right? And then they fight over it, right? And you know, you could have had a lot of stuff happen. You could have had a lot of stuff. You know, like Yu steps in to help out Nagiko, right? Yu confides in Nagiko over the fact that her dad doesn't approve of her doing surfing professionally. Maybe she has some doubts over if she should do it or not. Not in the same sense that they do it in the fucking route. All right, the way they do it in the route is dumb. The way they do it in the route is stupid. All right, I wanted her to get doubts on if she should do surfing professionally through her conflicted feelings over if she should pursue it professionally or keep it as a hobby and, you know, do Aikido professionally and eventually, you know, take over the business, the dojo, right? And I was waiting time and time again, and every time we got a scene of Nagiko doing tricks and failing to land a single one, it just got more and more annoying. Right? You saw that, right? I after the third time they did it, I finally voiced my disdain for those scenes, because you know why she was failing. I knew why she was failing. Nagiko should have known why she was failing, but for some reason that wasn't the real answer. The real answer is that she was lacking self-confidence. It's not because she was worried that her dad might not approve of her going professional in her surfing. It wasn't the fact that she was torn between Aikido and surfing. It was because she had confidence issues, which I guess were established. The first time around, during the first photo shoot. And I already mentioned why that doesn't make sense. Right? I already talked about why having a scene where Nagiko is full of confidence right before it completely contradicts it completely contradicts where they're going with how it completely contradicts the issue, the quote-unquote issue of Nagiko's confidence issues. Right? And yeah, the visual novel, the route could not recover from that blunder. Right? It was very simple, very easy. They could have salvaged it if they changed the reasoning for why Nagiko sucks at surfing right now. But they didn't. And that's why this is the worst route in the game. And I'm saying that confidently because I don't think Ritsu and Kika's route has the time to be as shit as this one. And the worst part is that I had high hopes because I love Nagiko. Right? You saw the ranking. You've seen the ranking. He was pretty high up. You know, before Riri and Shiori were moved up, he was, you know, she was third. She was in the top 3. She was halfway up the list. And, you know, I was hoping she would get to number 1. I was really hoping, but yeah, actually, I say she's number 3, but thinking over it again, I think she was only number 4. Right? Shiori wasn't. I remember very clearly that it was Kika and Ritsu in the top 2. I don't remember where Shiori was. Either she was 4th or she was 3rd, or she was 2nd and Ritsu was 3rd. But like, yeah, either way, Riru was 5th, and she got shot straight up to 1st. So I had high hopes for Nagiko because she was 4th or 3rd, either one. And you know, it's. I'm severely disappointed. That's the best way I can that's the best way I can put it. My overall thoughts on Nagiko's route is that I have been severely disappointed.
すみません。ではよろしくお願いします。
Nagiko ended the call and took a deep breath. Good work.
ありがとう。って言っても電話をしただけなんだけどね。
You were nervous considering who the call was with, right?
まあね。でもこれは自分でしなくちゃいけない連絡だったし。
Nagiko had called Igarashi, the woman who worked for the surfing magazine. Do you want to talk about it?
うん。手厚いサポートでプロを目指せるのはいいけど、今の私はまだその資格はないと思うから、電話じゃなくて直接会って断るわ。
Later that day, although Nagiko nearly overslept, she had successfully made it through the photo shoot. She had nailed one trick after another. Igarashi had openly complimented her and suggested including her in next month's featured articles. It was after careful consideration that Nagiko had finally gave her an answer. She turned down the offer to be featured in the magazine, as well as the sponsorship contract. So then what was the... I didn't know this route could get worse. So you're telling me all of that and she doesn't even follow through with it? Then what was the point? What was the point of that of the mountain scene? What was the point of her supposed self-confident of curing her supposed self-confidence issues? What was the point of her all-nighter wanting to and her desire to want to surf to the point where she couldn't go to sleep the whole night, and she had to stay up. She stayed up because she was too antsy, and she had to surf. She had to surf, but it was too dangerous that late at night, so she had to wait until the morning. They leaned so heavily into the fact that she wanted to keep surfing that the natural progression to that desire is to want to go professional, right? And now, you're telling me, at the end of this route, after however long of her supposed want to go professional, she suddenly decides to turn down the contract, her offer? You wasted our time. And by our, I'm not only referring to us as the players, I'm referring to Igarashi. He should be the most insulted about that. The fact that she not only waited until after they did the photo shoot. Actually, no. Better way of saying this. Not only did she wait until the photo shoot, she did fucking phenomenal. Right? It's not like she botched the second photo shoot. She did amazing. She performed exceptionally. And only after all of that, Igarashi gets a phone call from Nagiko saying, "Oh well, I appreciate I appreciate the opportunity, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to turn you down." Fuck you. If I was in Igarashi's shoes, I would do everything in my power to make sure Nagiko never gets another chance to go professional. She could have easily, not during the first photo shoot, right? She was still iffy about whether or not she should go professional or not. You know, considering the fact that she finally decided that she wanted to, right? It's like, okay, fine, whatever. We'll set up a second photo shoot. We'll do it another day. On that day, that before the photo shoot was your deadline on whether or not you were allowed to decide on if you should go professional or not. Don't waste Igarashi's time in making her do all of that work for fucking nothing. What now? She has all those photos of you, and now what? She has to throw them in the fucking bin because not only do you not want to go professional anymore, you don't want to be featured on the magazine. So then what was the point of all those photos? What was the point of your entire conflict in this fucking route? I despise you, Nagiko. You know the saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It makes sense now why Nagiko and Hibiki are cousins. Because they deserve to be together. At the very bottom of the list. She was already fifth. She was already fifth. But how dare you? How dare you make me move Nagiko? How dare you make me move Hibiki up? You know, I could have done the Sakura thing. I could have done the Sakura thing that I did in Master Magistrate, where what she did was so abysmal. Her personality was so horrible that I made an exception for her. I moved her all the way down to 99. And well, spoiler alert, there aren't even 99 characters. Nagiko, you're lucky I like you, because I would have done that. And as you saw from the rankings, Sakura redeemed herself. She went from all the way down in 99th, moved all the way up to 3rd. And it was only because I loved Okta's route so fucking much that she was moved down from 2nd. But Nagiko, I already liked her. Right? Sakura's personality was shit. And the writers knew it was shit. So that's why they redeemed her. That's why she had a character arc. And that's why she was given 2nd place. Moved down to 3rd, but whatever. But Nagiko, I liked her from the start. And you do this to me. You betrayed me, Nagiko. You betrayed me. I didn't know I could dislike a character more than Hibiki in this game. You know what? Maybe I'm premature ejaculating. Maybe she'll have a good reason as to why she wasted Igarashi's time. Oh, did I already say this? She turned down the offer to be featured in the magazine, as well as the sponsorship contract. I mean, I guess I did. That's what I'm ranting about.
今の私には実力不十分。 調子に乗ってた時ならともかく、受けられるほど厚かましくなれないわ。
Well, to be honest, I think you're plenty skilled as it is.
ユウは本当の上の人たちを知らないからそう言えるのよ。
Nagiko, it isn't just Yu's word, right? Of course, he's a glazer. It makes sense why he would think you were the best surfer in the world. But Igarashi also said you are fit to be professional. That's why she gave you that offer. That's why she gave you that's why she allowed for a second photo shoot. Because she saw the potential in you. And just like me, you betrayed her as well.
エキシビジョンに出てたプロを見たでしょ?
You wasted her time. You betrayed her. And, you know, maybe Igarashi is nicer than I am. Maybe she'll let you in the next time you decide to go professional. But if I was in her shoes, I mean, I already said what I would do. You've got a point. Sure, anyone could see that they were at a completely different level than the rest of us. It wasn't just their stellar techniques either. The way they rode their boards was nothing short of mesmerizing.
ネットの話題やたまたまもらえた特別賞のおかげでしょうね。
Oh my god. Every line, every word that comes out of her mouth just makes it much worse. Makes it so much worse. One of the only things that I liked in the last few scenes of Nagiko's round was Yu's speech on the top of the mountain about how every professional started just like her, right? Not most professionals were on her level, right? They may have started when they may have been on her level when they were younger than her, but it doesn't change the fact that all of them had to grind their asses off to become who they are. And you'd think that speech would have inspired Nagiko to keep doing, to pursue her goal of going professional. But it's clear to me that every single word that came out of Yu's mouth on top of that fucking mountain went in one ear and out the fucking other.
五十嵐さんたちが興味を持ってくれたのは
She replied with a heavy sigh. When she shook her head, I could only assume it was a clear way. It was to clear away any lingering regrets. So here's the other thing, right? I can guarantee for someone like Nagiko to be approached by Igarashi is a 1 in a million. Right? Obviously, right, she's still young. But I literally just said most professionals would have been at her level when they were younger. Right? So they would have been approached by Igarashi when they were younger. The fact that Nagiko was given this opportunity at her age, right? Even if she is still young, it's the same thing as, I mean, is there really a point in me comparing this situation to esports? I mean, I guess, because most esports professionals are very young, and they start off very young, and they retire very fucking young. The thing is that surfing isn't the same. Most sports aren't the same. Most athletes, especially, continue in their career for for much longer than an esports professional. So, like, I don't know if it's a good comparison. But it would work the same. If you were... If you started going pro in your late teens, it would be the same as what Nagiko is doing with surfing. Right? So the fact that she was even approached by Igarashi was a miracle. And she just chalks it up to she chalks up the entire reason why Igarashi approached her to the fact that she was going viral. And I understand that I can see where she's coming from with that. But she obviously saw how bloody good she was at surfing. And you think none of that you think none of that skill factored into why she approached you in the first place?
今回のことでよくわかったわ。
What you yeah, okay, I already read that one too.
私はまだそんなレベルじゃない。そんなこと言ってもらえる立場じゃないって。だから決めたのよ。私はいつか私自身のサーフィンの実力でプロになる。
Right. So what about Aikido? What about Aikido? All right. I already realized that my entire want or the conflict between her and her dad is thrown out the window completely because she decided on herself by herself that she didn't want to go professional. So, what about Aikido?
話題とか特別賞とかじゃなくて、実力でスポンサーを見つけてみせるわ。
How do you know that Igarashi wasn't that? How do you shut up. Just I'm really close to doing it. I'm really close to pulling a Sakura. Not me being the character, but how I ranked Sakura during Master Magistrate. She replied matter-of-factly, and she looked positively dazzling for it. I see. That's what you've decided, huh? If that's the case, then I'll cheer you on it every step of the way. Not only that, but I'd pour all of my energy into supporting whatever decision she made. There may very well be a future like that.
ありがとう、ユウ。
So, Aikido. You know, that thing. The one sport you were known the sport you were known for in every single round. Right? What about that one?
でも、もしいつかプロになれたら、大会を転戦して海外に住むことになるかも。
Oh, that's awesome.
うん。そうなれば嬉しいけど。
Is something wrong?
そうなるのが夢なんだけど。
I tilted my head, unsure of why she was so hesitant to respond.
その、ユウとはあんまり離れたくないし。
Aiko, understand this. This was only a problem when you were first given the offer. Right? If you followed through with your want to go pro with Igarashi sponsoring you, the surfing magazine sponsoring you, then this would be a worry. Because by the time you graduate, you will be in the third year, So then, at most, yeah, I guess at the bare minimum, you'll be apart for a year because he'd still have to go to school. He could always move to where you would be, where Nagiko would be in the fucking surveying school, right? I don't think he'll be that strapped for cash that he wouldn't have the opportunity to move to the country Nagiko lives, and he'd probably, actually, that's the other thing, right? He'd have to decide whether or not he should let Ritsu continue her 3rd year at Kazumi Academy, or if he would be selfish enough to move and have her transferred to a different school. Right? That would be fucked up. So never mind. At minimum 2 years. But regardless of the fact, this isn't a problem anymore. Why is this a problem now? Why is this a problem again?
ユウだって私と離れるのは嫌でしょ?
No,
嫌じゃないの?
She interrupted me and leaned forward, close enough that our faces nearly touched. But wait, I messed up. I'm not bothered by it. When that time comes, I had every intention of going with you overseas.
ユウ
After everything we've been through, it really got me thinking that maybe I could be there to support you in achieving your dream. Yeah, you're not gonna pull a Jenny Matrix in VGHS, all right? If you want to go abroad, then I'll go with you.
ありがとう。そう言ってくれると嬉しいわ。
She pointed a charming smile in my direction. I bent down and gave her a kiss. A surprised squeak escaped her in that moment. Even so, she reciprocated and coiled her tongue around mine.
もう、ユウってば急すぎよ。
Sorry. I couldn't resist when you looked at me like that.
バカ、何言ってんのよ、もう。
Her cheeks darkened at my comment. Nagiko bashfully pulled away from me.
とにかく、私はそう決めたから。私は自分のペースでプロを目指すわ。
Yeah, that's how it should be. So, what are you going to make your next goal?
あ、そのことなら、調べてみたら来月早々に隣の県であるみたいだし、そこが第一の目標かな。
Unlike the amateur tournament we'd attended previously during the beach festival, this was a formal, officially recognized competition. It would probably be difficult to even earn a special reward like the last time, but I bet you'll become even more popular if you win an award at that tournament too. That probably wasn't a good thing though. As happy as I would be for people to acknowledge her talent as a surfer.
なーにユウ。もしかしてナギコお姉さんが人気になることに嫉妬してるの?
Don't worry, Nagiko. I'm not gonna pull a mischief. He's not gonna pull a mischief.
誰かに取られちゃうかも。なんて。
Besides, I don't think you have any plushies to throw at him. Why are you calling yourself Nagiko One-san? Also, why would I be jealous? Sure, I was worried when you went viral from that video Hijiri posted, but only because I was worried for your safety.
ありがとう、ユウ。
I know. Maybe I should buckle down and properly learn Aikido. Oh wow, Aikido's finally been mentioned, but not by Nagiko. It was mentioned by you, the person who hasn't done Aikido since he was a fucking kid. Oh, well, I guess he didn't do Aikido seriously since he was a kid. That would be an essential element into our relationship if I was going to support Nagiko both professionally and privately. I doubt someone as strong as Nagiko needed my help in that department, though. At the end of the day, all they wanted to do was to protect her from anything and everything that came her way. Listen, I already brought up why Aikido is not a good sport for not a good martial arts when it comes to self-defense.
でも無理はしなくていいからね。
Well, yeah, I guess. I'm specifically saying most martial arts aren't good, aren't really that good. Don't really have that many good use cases in the real world, or whatever the fuck I said. It was listen. It was a while ago, right? It was all the way back in fucking Hibiki's round, and that was 2 rounds ago.
私はユウが一緒にいてくれるだけでも嬉しいから。
Hearing you say that just means I need to do it all the more. I pulled her close into a gentle embrace. Let's do our best together, Nagiko. No matter what happens, I'll always support you. Do what makes you happy.
Huh?
It was entirely likely a slew of problems would pop up in the future. There was no guarantee she wouldn't fall into a major slump again either. But we would take it step by step, or maybe she'll do the same thing, where after she gets over another slump, she follows through in that tournament, wins, and only decides after she wins the tournament that she doesn't want to go professional anymore. Again. I was sure everything would work out, so long as we were together. I'll walk with you as we continue to enjoy our youth.
そうね。
Here's the thing. I get it more now, right? It's not like she's giving up on being professional entirely. She just doesn't want to do it through Igarashi. Doesn't change the fact that she wasted her time. Right? In fact, she wasted even more of Igarashi's time than I thought. Because of the simple fact that she still does want to go professional. So this could have all been solved if she just never accepted Igarashi's offer. Right? Because then she wouldn't have gone through her slump. She wouldn't have wasted anyone's time. The audience and Igarashi. She you know what? Those were the only reasons. Those were the only 2 things.
ユウ、愛してるわ。
They're big problems, but it really boils down to 2 issues that could have been solved if she just never accepted Igarashi's offer. We would overcome any hardship together, just like she'd conquered the waves. I was sure of it. Like, would it be a bad thing if she didn't go through that slump? Because if she never accepted Igarashi's offer, she would have been performing potentially even better than she is now. Because she would be brimming with even more confidence. Because she wouldn't have gotten nervous in the first place, so I guess. Together, we could make it through thick and thin. Really? A few years later.
A Queen Surfing Cup of the Summer winner Nagiko Kaido!
やったわ、ユウ。
Yeah, good going, Nagiko.
最高。とうとう優勝よ。これも全部ずっと私を支えてくれてたユウのおかげだわ。
Listen, all I'm gonna say is blue and yellow doesn't look as good on you as black and red did. Or, I mean, it wasn't completely red, but more pinkish red. She leapt toward me with her championship cup trophy in hand. I caught her in midair. Clearly you didn't. Your hands are still out. Your hands still haven't wrapped around her. Nagiko looked positively radiant as she basked in the midsummer light. Really? What was... You know, it was different, right? Unlike the...
Kakenuke 青春スパーキング
Unlike the other routes, they didn't end after summer break. They ended a few years after it. You know what I hate the most? I hate that. Well, I guess. I hate that most of this recording session was just me rambling on about how much I hate the route. Because I do. I fucking despise it. And every word that came out of Nagiko's mouth after the credits made me hate it even more. And more. And more. And I fucking hate her now. But it was good at the start. I liked her route at the start. Even if my expectation of her route having to do with Aikido was thrown out the window almost at the start. It was thrown out the window. CG1. I was going to say frame 1. I say that too much. And it wasn't frame 1. It was SDCG1. Even though we technically didn't see the surfboard, the thing she used to get onto the tree was the surfboard. And I could get over that, right? Because there was already that conflict, all right? There was already that... It was cute, because Nagiko and you had that secret of like, oh, they are the only two people who know that Nagiko likes surfing. And then that was revealed, and it was like, okay, fine, that was going to happen eventually. And that's what kickstarted Yu's liking of Nagiko, because I didn't mean to hit the mic. Yu's liking of Nagiko because now he's, you know, he feels a bit jealous that other people know about Nagiko's secret. You know, he didn't really understand that... He didn't really understand that he kind of liked when Nagiko and you had a secret together until that secret was revealed, right? And that's what got them into getting together, right? I mean, it took a while, but, you know, it was cute, right? I already said that Nagiko's confession was good. It's just that it wasn't as immediate as Hibiki's route from going okay to complete shit, but it might be even worse. Well, no, I already said Nagiko's route is worse than Hibiki's because I expected more out of it. I expected better of it, but it's also worse than Hibiki's route because all of the shit that happened was all backloaded, right? It was all at the tail end of the route, and everything went so shit so fast, and it all started by. It all started when you supposedly figured out why Nagiko kept fucking up her surfing, right? Oh, I guess that was the catalyst, I mean, right? It started when she started failing surfing, when Nagiko started failing at surfing over and over again, right? That's when it started. But the catalyst of it getting real shit real quick was when you explained why Nagiko was in a slump. And it's just, I hate that I was right. Right? I could have been fine with a mediocre Nagiko route, but I hate the fact that I was right. That Nagiko's route could have gone one of two directions. Right? It could have gone really shit or really good. And unfortunately for me, it went the former way. Either way, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, a follow would be appreciated. If you want to support me further, you could always subscribe. Or I guess a subscribe would be appreciated because I'm recording this. If you want to support me even further, you could always go to my Patreon. You can watch the H scenes. Kind of, her last H scene was kind of really the only good part of the last bits of her route, even if there were some issues in the wording, but I could gloss over that. The CGs were pretty fucking hot. But you could also go over to my Twitch. You could follow me over there. I stream very inconsistently, but I do that. I do stream at least once a week. Right? I try to do five. I try to do 5 times a week, but you know. Anyway, next route is Ritsu's, and I don't have many. I don't have a lot of expectations. I don't have as high of expectations as I do with Nagiko's. But you saw. Well, I say you saw, but Ritsu used to be fairly high on my list, right? And I still love her. I still love Ritsu, right? In every interaction is a joy in these routes, and you know. We'll get more of her. And unlike Hibiki, Ritsu isn't going to get annoying. And I mean, it's probably not a good thing to compare Ritsu and Hibiki, right? It's probably more apt to compare Hibiki to Kika, because they're basically the same in certain aspects. Now, I dread that Kika's route will go down that same route, get it? As Hibiki's. But with Ritsu, I hope it isn't bad. That's my expectation. I just don't want it to be shit. Right? If my expectations are low at the start, then I can be pleasantly surprised if it's good, or not as pissed off if it's bad. But either way, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.